Hey,
Oh,
everybody.
hello.
So happy to have you all here today. In case you're new around here, I am Hillary Buchholz, and I'm here with Patty Quinn, and we are the
Hello.
co-founders of We Heart Hounds. And we also, this is super awesome, we also have a very special guest with us here today.
We do. And I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Cindy is the best. We have with us Cindy Dunston Quirk. She is the owner of Scout Zoe's delicious, yummy dog treats, which every pet parent loves. They are a company that strives to ensure all of us pet parents can treat our pups as healthy and happy as doggily possible. And one of the things I love about Cindy is she wakes up every day thinking, what can I do to make lives better for pets? Cindy, we're so super happy to have you with us here today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So, if you can tell us a little bit about that kind of mission statement of wanting to make life better for pups, that would be awesome.
Oh, okay. Twist my arm. Okay.
We're talking about dogs. How hard is that today, right?
Yeah.
That's our favorite topic.
Like, how much time do we have? Because so from a very early age, we had dogs. So this has been ingrained in me forever. But as an adult, my dog Zoe had allergies. And so when she was 6 months old, we found out that she had allergies. And I spent her entire life trying to find things for her to chew on and to eat.
Yeah.
And as she aged, how I could help her. And it took me until she was about probably 10 years old to figure out what I could give her to chew on. We had allergy tests done on her and figured out that she was allergic to almost everything. But beef was a really big thing. So I ultimately, the shorter story, although I could tell you the very long story, is that I invented antler dog chews, elk antler dog chews for her to chew on. And then that did really well. And that launched Scout and Zoe's, because by the time I figured all that out, then Scout had allergies. And Scout, I've got my posse down here. Let's see.
Yeah, we got to see pups.
So there's Zoe right there. Or excuse me, that's Ziva.
Ziva,
hi.
hi.
Calling her Zoe. And
Sleepy girl.
And then there's Scouty Scout right here.
Oh, I love the freckles. Look at that pup.
There you are.
Oh, lovables.
Anyway, he had allergies too, so it's like, okay, what can I do for these pups? And so they both did really well, and we did really well with the antler products. And then when the Chinese chicken jerky started making a lot of pets sick and killing several hundred pets, that was my line in the sand that said, I can't sit by any longer. I have to do something about this. And that's when I started with treats. And that was probably the best decision, other than starting a company, the best decision that I've ever made.
That's fantastic. Your pups are so lucky to have such a dedicated dog mom. Oh my gosh.
I think all of the pups of the world are lucky that I found that Zoe showed me the way.
Yeah, for sure.
What I was supposed to be doing. And as she aged, she just kept showing me things. And now the hardest thing was to talk about her when I lost her, because she lived at 14. So she passed away in 2014. She's been gone 6 years now.
Okay.
So that was the hardest thing, was to talk about her. But now it's a blessing, because I do talk about her every day. So she's really never gone.
Yeah, you bet.
That's nice.
You bet. That's neat. That's really neat. All right. Well, we've got lots of good questions for you today. I've got a couple of them written down so I don't forget. So one of the questions that I did want to ask you is about Zoe and her allergies. So knowing that you were on a mission to find not only products that help her kind of overcome her allergies, or at least deal with allergies and still be treated and spoiled like all pups should be. I'm sure there was a focus on nutrition as well. So if you could kind of explain some of that behind your
absolutely
what you found.
That's a great question, because most pet parents think that vets know everything that there is about animals, and that is the case, because especially when it comes to nutrition. And I'm not a certified nutritionist at all. I would love to do that, if I could add, if I could clone myself and add about 30 hours that over the course of time, I've become more and more aware of that. And I'm thinking that that's probably one of the things that ended Zoe's life as early as
Okay.
it did, is that she did not have proper nutrition because of her allergies, we were giving her what the vet told us to.
Right. Right.
And when you read the ingredient panels on that food, it's stuff that you don't know what it is because you
Right.
have a microbiology degree to figure it out.
Right.
So what guides me with regard to nutrition is that it needs to be natural. It needs to be as close to the raw form as it can be.
Okay.
And now we feed our dogs raw because I know where it comes from. I know
Right.
what I put in it, and I want to give them the longest life that I can so that they
Right.
can be with me because I love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But with the nutrition, what pet parents need to look for is that they understand if they're going to feed kibble, that they understand the ingredients, and that
Mm-hmm.
potato as a first ingredient is probably not a good thing. The more that you understand what it is, the better it is for your pup, because then you don't worry about it being some synthetic lab-based something that
Right.
isn't
Right.
good for them. And with the treats, that's the same too. You want to make sure that all of our treats in the Scout and Zoe's line have limited ingredients or is a single ingredient. And the reason for that is because, just like it says in our video on our site, that you can look at the label, you can
Right.
go through it very, very quickly, and you don't have to, rustle through everything to see if maybe there's something you don't understand that
Right.
would irritate your dog's allergies or your cat's allergies or whatever. But
Right.
it's not hidden in any way, because for a lot of substances, there are 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different names for them. And on our labels, chicken is chicken, beef is beef. You eat this, and chances are you have this stuff in your kitchen.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about our products because it's very apparent what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken great care to formulate them, to put the right balance of things in there, and also to source them, because we use USA sourced and produced ingredients in
Yeah.
treats. So like with our raw frozen, it's born, raised, and harvested 40 minutes from here. So
Wow.
that's why I don't
So
have
local farms and everything. Yeah. That's great.
absolutely. And it's all human grade because a butcher does it for us. And we know that if it hadn't gone into the pet food that day, it would have been for sale in the meat case.
Yep.
In the shop. So I'm really comfortable knowing what my dogs are eating on a regular basis, because I would eat it
Mm-hmm.
if it hadn't been delegated that day to go into the dog.
Right. Right. Right.
Something that I could have.
That's really neat.
That's so important too. I mean, I think a lot of times people don't necessarily know about the different grades as well. So that human grade versus like it may be raw, or you may be reading those ingredient labels, but not necessarily knowing, okay, is this the best it can be? Is it as safe as it can be? So that like just making sure that it's human grade, that it's the cleanest, best that you can give your pup.
And you have to be careful with that too, because a lot of companies will put human grade or natural on their labels, and it's not necessarily the case, because there's a lot of things that can be done with meat they can coat it with kind of a slime and do some things to it in a processing plant to keep it from walking out the back door with the and we don't do that. We don't deal with manufacturers who do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's boneless, skinless chicken breast that had been sent to chicken heaven more than 2 hours before it was processed.
Right.
You have to be really careful, because like with most of our treats, I eat them to prove their safety. And, I mean, I don't enjoy fish, and I don't like kangaroo and some things like that. So there are certain things that I'm not going to eat. But when push comes to shove, I have tried them. Just to make sure that if it's safe for me, then it's safe for my pups.
Right.
If it's safe for my pups, then I'll put it in our line where y'all can
Right. Well, and for so long, I mean, I think we've all been careful pet owners and trying to be responsible in the foods that you purchase. And even if you're getting a high quality food, I was still used for so many, I was so used to seeing the label of ingredients, still a mile long, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's still the quote, the best dry food or whatever that is out there. And I love the limiting ingredients, because especially if you're concerned or you think your pup might have allergies, it's so nice to be able to have just one or two ingredients to give them at a time and that kind of thing. It's important.
There's really no need to have an extensive ingredient deck on any product, whether it's food or a treat, because it's just like with our food. The more ingredients it has in it, probably the worse it is for you.
Yeah.
And there's really no real nutritional value to pie or cake or ice cream, but we eat it anyway.
Yeah.
But even then, even in the pies or the cakes or the ice creams, when I make a pie, I use as little as I can in it, so that everything remains in a somewhat natural or somewhat state. Because I don't eat a bunch of stuff. I don't want to eat it just for entertainment. I want it for nutritional purposes too.
Yeah.
Right.
And that goes into everything that we touch here in the warehouse has to have nutritional value, because if it doesn't, then we don't want it, and we don't want to sell it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you had to give advice to somebody, a pet parent who is looking for nutritional treats, what are some of the tips that you would recommend? I know we kind of talked about a few of them already, but made in the USA, right? That would be a big one.
It's a huge one. Or if it's made outside of the USA, probably not China, because they don't have the reputation, and that Chinese chicken jerky and those treats were the ones that were killing the animals. So the source of that has never really been found or put their finger on, or the FDA and the USDA didn't say, well, this is what killed them. This is that one thing. So I would say made in the USA, sourced and produced in the USA is a huge one, because the treats may not necessarily have been made here, but a lot of companies are kind of getting around that by saying it's distributed or it's packed in
right.
The other thing is that short list of ingredients, because as we've stated, it doesn't have to be a mile long to be nutritious. The shorter the better.
Right.
And make sure that when you look at the ingredient panel of a treat, of any treat, that the protein is the first ingredient, because you don't want it to be rice or potatoes or something like that, because that's not what dogs or cats need. Cats are obligate carnivores, and dogs are carnivores. So they need their meat. And there's no, and then be careful of the byproducts, because you don't really know what those are.
Yeah.
Because you kind of just don't know. So it's think of what would I eat in a more natural state, and then translate that into a pet product, and just go, I can look at this and go, yeah, I think my dog can have this.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that resonate? You can just hear your passion and your enthusiasm for what you're doing at Scout and Zoe's. So just some of the things that resonate with you about, what you've created and what you're doing there.
Well, the biggest portion of it is that I get to provide my own dogs with my own kids, because I don't have human children. So these little furry souls are my kids.
That's Hillary and me too. Our fur kids are our kids.
Yeah, we're not alone. And that's how our products are expensive, because they're human grade. And the reason that they're expensive is because and this gets into some kind of gory details that we don't like to talk about a lot, but when it's inspected by the USDA, and when in the human food chain, if you back up, when animals are slaughtered, there's also an inspection there as well. So there are 2 inspections that are done, and that's why our products, or the proteins that we use in our products, are expensive, because they are meant for human consumption. They're not meant for animal consumption.
Yeah.
So the overall thing that resonates with me the most is that I get to create things that my dogs use, that I get to have for my pups, so they can have really nice, long, healthy, happy lives. And the larger picture is that it warms my heart, and it makes me giggle when I pass by a store and I can see our products in the window.
Yeah.
My stuff. It's kind of like it's bigger. It's not bigger than life. It's just bigger than me.
Yeah.
And it's something that, whether I was driven to do it, which I was because of Zoe, or I was destined to do it because she was brought into my life, or that I was divinely appointed to do it, which I won't even go there because I don't know. I just know that dogs have always been a big part of my life, and providing safe, nutritious products, whether that's a bone or an antler or a treat, or food, whatever it turns out to be, that resonates with me the most.
That's neat.
That I get to, in all of these across the world, there's a little piece of me, I touched it somehow, and that because I'm here and because I'm doing what I'm doing, that all of these pets, whether it's horses or an amphibian or a reptile or whatever it is, or a precious dog laying in your lap under a blanket, that I've had a small part in that dog's happiness and that dog's wellness, and the happiness that the family around that pup that loves them has as well.
Lots and lots of ripples in the pond.
Yep.
Amazing. Absolutely. It's really amazing. Well, you've not only done amazing things for pet parents and their pups, but you've also done some amazing things for people and places too. Your company has done a lot of really amazing things, and I'd love for you to talk about it and feature this. I just think it's a really unique thing that you do, and I'd love for you to share your journey in working with and doing all the good works that your company does with other people and places.
I'm not sure what the quote from John Wesley was. It's like, for the most part, if you paraphrase it, it's do good in all things. Because the more you do good, or the more good you do, the more it comes back to you. Something like that. If I had the foresight to write that down, I would.
That's okay.
I can never remember it. I just know it's like it resonates with me every time I read it. It's like, yeah. So what I've done from basically the start of the company is, and I thought I had a package here that has this on it, but I don't. We have partnered with a company called Hopewell, the Hopewell Center in Anderson. And from almost the get-go of my company, from Scout Zoe's, we've had them packing our chews and now our treats. And we call that Packed with Love. And they are intellectually disabled adults who are probably not able to find jobs anywhere else. So we're training them with job skills so that they can earn some money and live life on their own terms. And we have a sticker. I wish I'd had that. It's usually on the back of our products. This one got by without one for some reason. But before it's shipped out, I always make sure that the sticker's on the back. But it's called Packed with Love, and it's only 3 or 4 sentences, and it took me, and I'm a writer, and it took me a couple of years to write it. Because what I wanted to do was to convey our deep love and gratitude to helping these adults earning a living, and also to say, if the labels on the products aren't exactly in the same place, like you can see these are not. They're slightly different, even though I'm holding them. They're slightly different, or they might be a little askew, but in their own way, they're doing the best they can at the time. And I'm flexible enough to know that I'm doing good by helping them. So I'm okay with it being slightly the wrong, or a different position, or it's slightly askew. That's okay. We call it Packed with Love. And with the carp products, So we've kind of gone beyond that. And when I developed the Asian carp products, we had this sticker on the back that's fish on a mission. And the fish on a mission tells you about why it's nutritious. And if you don't know anything about Asian carp, they're really nasty little critters who are not native to the American continent and are taking over the waterways. But I digress. Is we've had, in doing good on a lot of different levels, local fishermen in Kentucky catch this carp, not some big conglomerate somewhere. And then they take the carp to a fishmonger or a processor in Kentucky, and that's a second chance employer. So all of the employees down there have been incarcerated for some point in their lives, and they have had trouble finding jobs. So second chance employer processes the carp, and then it's sent up here so that Hopewell, the intellectually disabled adults, can pack it. And then we get it out into the mouths of deserving dogs and cats all over the globe. So and I didn't set out for any of this to be like this. This is what is the most outstanding thing that I think is, it's just bigger than I am.
Yeah.
I didn't set out to say, okay, well, how can I have this great marketing story behind it? That was not it. I didn't know that the fish processor was a second chance employer until she pointed it out to me.
Wow.
With the Hopewell Center, for the longest time, we didn't put anything on the back of the products. We didn't know if we could. It would be acceptable. And then when I finally brought it up, they were just like, oh, yes. Well, yeah, tell our story. And so every product that you buy of Scout and Zoe's allows us to keep helping these organizations that do good for others in their own communities. So we're trying to be, I think we are a very good community partner.
That's wonderful. So you're helping the waterways, the fishing areas, with, you were kind of eliminating some of that non-native species carp, right? That's kind of taking over and has become kind of a nuisance. And then obviously helping so many wonderful people. And then that just continues on into the pets' families and their homes and their pets and all of that good stuff. So that's really neat. What a wonderful story. Yeah. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. And
when I go to bed, it's kind of like, okay, we did good today. We've done good.
You bet. You bet.
So speaking of doing good, do you have a favorite customer story that you can share?
Gosh, there are a lot of them. Probably the best one, and I'm not sure she was a customer, but this was at a trade show a couple of years ago, and this woman walked up and she was crying, and she had this little dog in a baby stroller. And that happens a lot at trade shows. It happens a lot everywhere because some people just don't think their dogs can walk for some reason. But she had the baby stroller going. But she was crying, and she said, and I said, well, what's wrong? She goes, well, my dog won't eat and hasn't eaten for a week.
Oh, and no.
This is not good because the little body's going to shut down because this little doggy doesn't weigh a lot. So I opened up a bag of our chicken jerky, which, I mean, just happened to be, it was one of our first treats, which I think is pretty cool. It's just chicken breast. So I opened up a bag of chicken jerky and said, well, maybe let's try this. And I had a couple of other things that we were going to try too. And I picked off little tiny pieces and or broke off little tiny pieces and started hand feeding the pup the treat.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of skittish at first, very timid, and then just started just chewing a little bit, and it's like, oh. Yeah. And then the first piece was gone, and then the second piece was gone, and then the third piece.
Yay!
And I'm standing there, and the mom's just got, I mean, just big crocodile rolling down her cheeks. And I said, here's a couple of bags of jerky. Here's some other stuff that you can try. That let me know how else I can help you.
Yeah.
And that, and I really dislike trade shows in a big way because they're a necessary evil, but they're draining and exhausting, and they're expensive.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we didn't have to do them this year. But that kept me so energized for the rest of the show. And I think that was the first day. And there are so many stories just like that.
Yeah.
That I live for. I mean, I don't live for people having challenges with their animals. That's not what I mean to say at all. But I'm grateful that I have things at my fingertips that help alleviate.
Yes, of course.
Appetite repression, or because we've got toppers that I regularly send out to people whose dogs are on chemo or radiation, or they just can't get them to eat.
Yeah.
Those kind of things that just really, it fills my heart. It validates my mission. It keeps me driving onward, even when, I have really crappy days because of my landlord. It just energizes me on so many different levels that's the reason I jump out of bed every morning. That's it right there. And to solve those kind of issues and to make pups healthy and happy.
Yeah, that's amazing. What has been your biggest surprise along the way? I mean, you've got a lot going on.
I do. And I would say, I'm clever anyway. I already knew that because I'm a middle child, so I had to be clever to be noticed. My sisters were not only pretty, they were also really a lot smarter than I was.
Oh.
I got lost in the midst.
Yeah.
I was a tomboy, the son that my mom and dad never had. So the thing that surprises me on a continual basis is how resilient I can be and how resourceful I can be. And I'm a lot smarter than I ever gave myself credit for, because a lot of this stuff, like the carp or the newest products that we have, the Black Soldier Fly, that stuff comes to me like when I'm in the shower or right as I'm getting ready to fall asleep, and I have no idea why I'm thinking about that stuff. The fact that I am is kind of like, oh, well, somebody had to, so I'm glad that I did. I'm a lot smarter than I have ever given myself credit for.
That's fantastic. Good for you. It's good to acknowledge it. So not only just, accept that in ourselves, but to acknowledge it and be proud of that, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's not something all of us are taught to do, raised to do. You're supposed to kind of keep it all inside and be modest and all that. But I think there's something to be said for appreciating yourself and that drive that you have and the will and the wherewithal and the smarts and, the grit, right? That's just amazing. That's amazing.
And I'm having to lean into that a little bit more lately, and to remember that, to consciously remember that, because there's so much stress and so much going on right now with finding a warehouse that at times I'm having my own little teeny tiny pity party, having an adult cocktail to get around. More often than not, I am leaning into that and going, okay, it's okay to acknowledge the fact that I'm pretty smart cookie, and that I do have the resources at my fingertips to do anything that I want to do. And
think of all the hurdles you've overcome so far to get where, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. And part of your story is, this is a second avenue, a second adventure in your life, right? I mean, none of us are spring chickens, right? So, I think it's just fantastic. I think it's phenomenal.
I started when I was 51.
Yeah, so that is just, I read that and I was like, good for you. Like that I think of all the people out there that, have spent their lives doing something that just really wasn't fulfilling, didn't satisfy them, and they just don't feel like they have it, whatever it takes to follow, whatever their dreams are and all that. And good for you. Fantastic. That's amazing. You're a wonderful role model. So thank you for what you do.
There's a really good thing that comes up on Facebook every now and then, and I saw it maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's about Colonel Sanders, Walt Disney, Louise Hay, and somebody else. And Walt Disney had been turned down by like 30 banks. Louise Hay at 52 years old or 62 was bouncing checks. Colonel Sanders didn't even start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was well into his late 80s. Well, not
right.
80s. I mean, he was
up there, yeah.
When he did it. And there was somebody else in there that I can't remember, and I'm thinking, I'm in really good company.
You are. And we are right now. So we're super excited to be in your company. That's amazing.
So you're obviously always looking towards the future, which is, driving you. And do you have some things on the horizon for Scout and Zoe's that are coming soon?
Not only are they on the horizon, darling, the future has arrived.
Awesome.
Arrived here. It is your lucky day.
You hear it here first.
I've been working on this for a couple of months, and like I said, I have no idea how this stuff comes to me. I don't know. Either my mind is totally open and I'm just taking it in, or it's really warped and I've got some really
Hey, there's a good balance between the two, right?
There's that
winning combo
between insanity and genius.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in good company. Like I guess Einstein didn't talk until he was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
There's just as many. I'm an Aquarius, and there's just as many geniuses as there are people who are Aquariuses or Aquarii. You were born when I was born. Mental issues, so I mean, and anything I can go in between the two. So I mean,
it's a magical combo.
That's right. So that's what makes me so special. So what we have done is, knowing that there's a big interest in the environment, because we all want to save Mama Earth, because she's the only one we've got. So we have to save her until we go to Mars. And that some of the proteins that we use take up a gigantic carbon footprint. So we've decided that to look into the bug protein sources, and we came up with black soldier flies.
Super flies.
So if you're of a certain age, superfly kind of.
Yep.
Superfly. So if you're not of that certain age, like we all are apparently, myself included, you can Google it, and it's a great song and a great movie. The superflies, they are black soldier fly larvae. Can you see that very well?
Yeah.
So the reason that these are so good, if you feed outdoor birds, think of mealworms. So these are similar to a mealworm, except they're not as expensive. But low carbon footprint, because they feed on compost from restaurants. So they're alleviating compost or waste when they eat. They grow very quickly. And because they're bugs, they don't need a lot of water. They don't need a lot of land. And they are really high in protein. These are 34% protein, 100% not too weird.
Wow.
But these are great for multi-species, so dogs, cats, birds of all species, chickens, reptiles, amphibians. I mean, it's a multi-species product.
Wow.
So we can just stop there.
Wow.
We took the bugs and we ground them up into superfly meal topper.
Okay, perfect.
So that for those, and it doesn't really smell all that bad. Actually, it doesn't smell bad.
Smell-o-vision.
It doesn't. It's not like ground coffee. It's not that strong. And it's not stinky, but the dogs love it. The dogs.
Okay.
So this is a meal topper, and then our latest that I have not even had in the house for longer than 10 days is the jerky.
Oh wow!
Okay, wow.
There you go.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So you can break it up into smaller little treats.
It's a pretty little jerky, and this bag's been sealed because it's going out, but it smells like barbecue. And and my dogs, if this were open, they would just be going, mama. This is good for we've made it for dogs. It's got very limited ingredients, just like everything else. And this is the Scout and Zoe's, and you're hearing this first here, the only pet company in the industry that has treats made out of black soldier flies for any animal.
Wow. That's fantastic.
For any animal. And these are AFCO approved. So that means that the entity that says what ingredients that you can use in dog treats or whatnot, these black soldier flies are approved. A lot of bugs are not, but black soldier flies are.
Okay. So, fantastic. Good for you.
Congratulations.
And good for us.
That's amazing.
That's great.
We've already sold some of these, so I'm pretty stoked about this. So we'll put media push, because when you're the pioneer, you want to make sure that you charge for with your wagons. So
you bet. Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, we actually have a couple questions from our audience for you. If you have a couple more minutes, we've just got a couple questions that our audience has asked of you. And one of the questions is, and I think this has to do with your history with Zoe and everything, and even Scout having allergies. How do I know if my dog has allergies? Like, what are the things to look out for?
Well, and Ziva has allergies too.
Oh, does she? Okay.
So they've just manifested over the last couple of weeks. So she has allergies too, although I think hers are environmental. So with Zoe and most dogs and cats for the most part, how they have, they're not really elbows, but they have their elbows on their front legs. They start chewing those. And then they start getting a rusty color. And most people think, oh, well, my dog's just chewing on its leg. Well, that's not the case. They're chewing on their leg because something's wrong. And that's a great way to know that your dog has allergies. Or with like Ziva, she's licking her Netherland parts, her lady parts, and scratching. She's rubbing her head on everything. So somewhere around her muzzle, and her feet I think it's something grass related. I'm not sure.
Right.
But and with Scout, so watch your pet's behavior. If they start doing like Ziva has done, I know it's something environmental because I haven't used her food.
Right.
And if it's like with Scout, when I figured out that he had allergies, we knew something was wrong because in his youth, he was a real high energy dog, and we had a lot of trouble keeping weight on him. So we'd feed him a food, and then about 2 months later, he'd start having this explosive diarrhea, and he'd start throwing up, and we thought, well, what? So I finally decided that we were going to put him on a different food from the vet. Not my first choice, but we needed to find something for him.
Right.
And we were giving him rice and cottage cheese in the meantime.
Right.
And he was starving because he was so hungry. And he was watching my fork one night as I ate, and I thought, okay, I just can't stand this. Let me boil you a chicken breast and give you some protein. And immediately he got sick. Immediately he got sick. So his allergies have been to chicken. So I had Zoe, who was allergic to beef, and Scout, who was allergic to chicken. The time at our house was not pleasant. So those immediate changes like that are a great way to notice that your dog has allergies. Another really good way is you could start eliminating things from their diets and see, and that's it's called a food challenge. And those are probably the easiest and the cheapest for you to do. The other thing is just to go to an animal dermatologist and pay an outlandish fee to have a test run that is they shave right here and they skin prick you or skin prick your dog, and it is expensive. And Zoe had that done and was on shots almost her entire life. It was $600 every month for her antigens for her shots, and I got really good at giving them. But to do the food challenge, to pull things out and then wait 2 weeks and note what happens with your dog, and then to reintroduce it. And if the symptoms start coming back, then that's a really good sign that the dog was allergic to that, or the cat was allergic to that.
Right.
The other thing is and a lot of people do this, but a lot of people don't, pick up poop in your yard. And it's not just good because you don't step in it, but it's good. And I do it. First of all, I started doing it because Zoe was a poop eater, which was not fun. But I did it mainly to watch Scout's intestinal health. And that has come back around to Ziva as well, because when they're both not feeling well, then I can tell in the poop, and I pick it up often enough to know that okay, well, this only goes back 2 or 3 days, and I can see that. But you have to have a real keen eye for what your pet's normal is, and then to watch, to be, and if you don't have a keen eye, that doesn't mean that you're not a good pet parent. You just need to pay closer attention.
Start looking. Just start paying attention.
So that you have a baseline, so that you know when something happens and it's not good, or your dog is all of a sudden really lethargic, that you can go against that baseline and say, okay, something happened, and now let me think back the past couple of days to see if I can figure that out. So, and if anybody needs any help, they can always private message me or go through y'all to get my contact information.
Okay, sure.
We can certainly help pet parents out with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. So I have another one here. I'd like to feed my dog a raw food diet, but I don't have time to cook, and I'm worried she won't get all the nutrition she needs. Is there an easy way to get started?
Absolutely. Feeding raw is so much easier now than it was when I first started doing it. When I first started doing it, Scout he had an ACL surgery. He's had 2. And I did it the completely wrong way the first time. And I was spending a boatload of money, and it was taking all my time. It's just like, I can't keep up with this. Like, for 2 dogs, I just can't keep up with it. Well, now it's so easy because both of the dogs feed or eat raw. So there's several different ways that you can go with this. One way is we have raw frozen grinds that you can get. So if you go on Scout and Zoe's website, scoutandzoes.com, you can just type in raw and it'll pull up all of the raw products. Those are not complete meals. So it's the bones, the organs, and the protein in the correct proportions. So what you need to do to those, and you feed the dog 2 to 3% of their body weight in raw twice a day, or my dogs eat 3 times a day, so I split that up into 3 different. But then with what I do is I get a base from a dehydrated base from Dr. Harvey's, and it's called Raw Vibrance, and it has all of the supplements and all of the vegetables and everything in there. It's got fruits and vegetables and everything in there already, so that you mix it out, you rehydrate it, and I give the dogs a spoonful of that with their meal, along with broccoli or green beans or cauliflower or eggplant or squash or zucchini, whatever I have on hand, because they love all of that, along with maybe sometimes they'll get some dried minnows on the top of their food, or they'll get the green tripe powder that's in the bottom of the bags.
Right.
But I also give them joint supplements as well, and called Connectin that we have here, and something for their teeth, so that we don't have to have them clean, called Plaque Off, that we also have here. But feeding raw is not the daunting task that it has been in the past. And from start to finish, for every meal, it takes me about 30 minutes. And it's not from the start, pulling out their bowls, to when I wash them and put them away, it's 30 minutes, and it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Once again, if that particular viewer has questions that I can be of help with, I'm happy to do that. There are a lot of sources for raw frozen food now that are complete foods. You'll spend a lot more money on a complete food. But if that particular viewer has questions that I can help with, I'm happy to help them source in an area that's nearby them, or we can help them with the products that we have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, before we're kind of wrapping up now, is there anything else you would like to share with us before you go?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I know you have a monthly subscription. Yeah.
All about that. A Ziva's Surprise Pack is our monthly subscription box.
Okay. Perfect. Great. I wanted to get that out there. So Ziva is ZIVAS, Ziva's Surprise Pack. All right.
ZivasSurprisePack.com, or you can just go to scoutandzoes.com, and it's one of the products that are listed there. You can do a 2-pack or a 4-pack. We call the 4-pack a multi-dog household. The treats are Scout and Zoe's treats, so we know that they're good treats. We know they're nutritious, easy for me to say. Ziva picks them out herself every time. It was good for her, because it was a great way when she was a puppy to bring her into the business
Yeah.
And now that she is Scout's little sister and has taken over that female portion of the image of the company beyond herself, the female canine image. Zoe will always be around, but Scout will that a. But we wanted to bring her into the business, so she has her own subscription box.
That's fantastic.
So
that's great.
But the treats, it goes out on the first of the month, and they're awesome. And we always, what we do too with this is, and this is something that I think is pretty cool. It's when we're testing out products and introducing new products, they go into the Ziva surprise packs. And the surprise packs that went out last week had, I think it had some special salmon products in it.
Oh, cool.
That are not widely available right now. So I think it's I can't remember which one it was, but we've got a few that we'll be putting in there in the next few months. But it's always.
So go to zivassurprisepack.com, sign up for the monthly subscription. You're going to get lots of extra goodies and surprises, it sounds like. So
and we're going to put some human things in there too. So something for the humans that are the doggy mail and giving it to their furry kids.
That's great. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful.
So are there other places besides zivassurprisepack.com and scoutandzoes.com that people can find you, or other places where you'd like to direct people to find you?
You can go to your local pet store. And they may have us, they may not. And if they don't stock our products, then you should request that they do.
Yep.
Because that's how we grow, is very organically. And we love the mom and pop retailers around the country, because we're helping them live their dream of owning their own business, and they're helping us live our dream of having our own business. So we all make pets happy, and that's the common thread for all of us, is that we want your pets to be happy and healthy. But check with your local retailer, and if you can't find them there, then go to scoutandzoes.com, and if you want to sign up for a surprise pack, go to zivassurprisepack.com.
And you can be found on Facebook too, correct? So
Zoe, all spelled out. Yep, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. We're all over.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Great.
You can find Scout and Ziva's there.
Wow.
Zoe's there. You can go to South Korea. You can go to Japan. You can go to China. You can go to a lot of places and find Scout and Zoe's.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
That's fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Before we go, we have a giveaway winner announcement. Yay! Somebody special is going to get some yummy Scouts and Zoe treats. Obviously, we're excited. So we have our winner today. Thank you, Caitlin Mersitz. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You are the winner of today's giveaway. Thank you so much for sharing the promo for today's interview with our lovely and talented and phenomenal Cindy. She makes us all look like we need to go out and, I don't know, do a little bit more every day, because so much. I can't believe it. Thank you again, Cindy, for being with us today. We're so honored. It was such a pleasure having you. Just a delight to hear all your stories, and we absolutely wish you well and want to bring you back. And as you have new fun things to share, we'd love to have you back with us.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to be back again.
Thanks, everybody.
Excellent.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
have
everyone.
a great day.
Bye.